So I've been in a shelter for 2 days. I never imagined that I would ever have to be in a place like this. I'm too strong to be in a place like this. God's testing me. He tested me today. I hope I passed. I spoke with Detective Washington, the domestic violence unit in Detroit, and he informed me that my case had been closed due to lack of evidence. So, Jamin, the man who committed these atrocities on me, has an uncle who is a sheriff for the Detroit Police Department. And the report that was made stated that I simply had a scratch on my chest and my arm, and that Jamin had admitted to pushing me. The reason he gave for pushing me was that I poked him with the remote control from the television. Now, that isn't possible. The day that this happened, like the 2 weeks previous to this, Jamin slept 18 hours a day. He stopped taking his medication about 2 months ago because he didn't have to go to the health department to get the injection, and Jamin can't be counted on to take a pill. So Jamin's off his medication, and he's not acting normal. He's lost both his parents, and he's in a dark place. I'm doing my best to support him and love him and get him help. I tried not to be threatening. I tried to be caring. I told him that I loved him and that we needed to get him back to his psychiatrist and back on his medication because the things that he was saying just weren't normal. He was telling me that there were aliens in the house. And then he asked me if I was a demon and asked me if I was casting spells on him. Now, I suffer from depression and I take medication for it. This is not something I've ever experienced before. And I was not equipped to fix Jamin. I was trying, but I was failing. The day before Jamin attacked me, he put his cigarette out on my finger. It was completely random, and he just simply said that it was an accident. I didn't know what to think or how to feel. I knew something was wrong. But my family is 120 miles from where I am, and I don't have any money, and I don't have a vehicle, and I have my dog. I have to make things work. So I'm trying. And I wake Jamin up at about 5 o'clock. And I tell him that I want to feed him dinner and that he needs to eat something. He got up. He ate with me. We were at the table for about 30 minutes. I talked to him about wanting him to get back to his doctor and get back on his medication so he could start feeling better. Jamin was depressed and then some. I know depression, and I wanted to help. I was really trying to help. Looking back, I feel like maybe Jamin felt threatened that I was suggesting that he go back to his doctor and get back on his medication. Although that was never my intent. But perspective is a lot, and I don't know what his perspective was because Jamin was nonverbal for weeks. He said very, very little. He responded to very little. I did everything that I could to communicate with him, but I feel like the quarantining and not being able to leave the house, not being on his medication, losing both of his parents, just pushed him right over the edge. And he was seeing and hearing things that weren't there. So after Jamin and I talked, or I talked to Jamin, his only response to me was, "Here's my plate, put it away, I'm going back to bed." So I took his plate and I put it away. And Jamin went back to bed. I went to the couch and I watched TV. At about 8 o'clock, I got up and I went into the bathroom. When I opened the bathroom door, Jamin was standing at the door. I thought he was waiting to use the restroom, so I tried to hurry past him to allow him into the restroom. I got about 2 feet past Jamin with my back to him, and both of his hands were on my shoulders, and in a second, he shoved me, and I flew about 5 feet into his golf bag, and it fell on the floor, and golf clubs came spilling out onto the floor. I was now on my bottom, scooting back, trying to create distance between us. Jamin hasn't spoken to me at this point. There have been no words from him at all. I asked him why he was doing what he was doing. I asked him to stop. I begged him to please just talk to me. And he picked me up by the back of my shirt and turned me around to face him. And he punched me in the right side of my face. This is 6 days since he hit me. So after the punch, I fell to the floor. I had no chance to react. He then picked me up by the back of my hair and the back of my pants, and he threw me into a wall. In the corner of this room, we had piled up things to donate or go away. Some barbells in a laundry basket and some golf equipment. A very large flower painting that was framed in heavy glass. I believe there was some sort of toolbox or tool bag. There was also a faucet coming out of the wall where they used to maintain their fish aquarium that's now gone. And Jamin threw me on the right side of my face into that faucet and impacted the side of my face. When I hit the wall, the frame shattered, glass went everywhere into a million pieces, and I landed in glass. I am now on my hands and knees, and I am looking for my phone. I know it's on the floor somewhere because it was in my hand at some point and it's gone. I spotted it and I started crawling on my hands and knees through this glass to get to my phone. Jamin picked up a golf club and used the shaft of the club to hit me across my hands so that I couldn't get my phone. He then dialed 911. Four black male police officers arrived at our home. They never listened to anything that I said. Really, they didn't let me speak at all. My eye was swollen and bruised. My arm, with Jamin's fingerprints on my arm, a lot of internal injuries that no one really could see, but cut up from the glass, obviously bruised in my head and my face, scratched up. Jamin told the police that I had hurt myself and that I was suicidal to begin with. I couldn't even argue with these police officers. They didn't listen to anything that I said. As soon as I started to speak, they told me to sit down and shut the fuck up. I started to remove my clothing because I wanted the officers to see what damage was done to my body, that I couldn't have possibly done this to myself. But every time I moved or spoke, I was reprimanded and told to keep my mouth shut. I was then handcuffed, placed in the back of a cop car, not an ambulance. I was sent to Sinai Grace Hospital in Detroit. A police officer handcuffed me to a gurney in the ER. A nurse did come in and placed an IV in my hand, never attached anything to that IV, nor did I ever see an actual medical doctor. I was never examined medically with obvious injuries. I begged nurses to take the glass out of my feet, and all I was told was that they weren't going to give me any pain medication. I never asked for pain medication. I asked for the glass to be taken out of my feet so that I could walk. The nurse rolled her eyes at me and walked away. I was handcuffed to that gurney 5 or 6 hours, and then a psychiatrist arrived. He talked to me for 10 minutes, and he said, "You're perfectly sound and I'm going to release you now." He signed papers, handed them to me. The hospital put me in a cab and sent me back home to the man who just beat the living hell out of me. It's now 3 a.m. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have any money. I don't have any car. I don't have anyone to call. I have no choice but to go back to that house and to try and sleep with a man who just nearly killed me. I got there. I rang the doorbell for about 40 minutes, I would think. It seemed that way anyway. Jamin finally got frustrated. He came to the door. He opened it. He asked me what the fuck I thought I was doing. And I told him that I was coming in to go to sleep. And he told me that I wasn't coming in his fucking house. So I told him that I wasn't afraid of him, and that if he wanted me to leave, he was going to have to call the police. So he did. The same 4 police officers that arrived the first time responded to the call again. They were awful to me. They said horrible things to me. What the fuck are we doing back here again? I thought we took care of you already. Why are we here? I need to get into my house and go to sleep, and I need you to arrest the man that attacked me. That's what I need. This was a race thing. Now, I've never experienced racism like that before. I'm not a racist. I was dating a black man. I loved a black man. But they treated me different because I was white. I was the only white person there. I was the only white person I saw for months. And these people, because of everything that's going on in this crazy fucked up country, don't want to arrest a black man. Even if he just beat the living shit out of somebody. That's crazy. How does that happen? Their job was to protect me. That's what we pay them for. They didn't care about me. They didn't care that I was broken, that I was bleeding, that I was hurt, and that I needed help. The hospital didn't help me. Not an x-ray, not even a physical examination, not a single photograph taken of me. The police report that was written was just total bullshit. It isn't even close to what happened. Not even close. The arresting officers on this police report, Officer Kegler, badge number 4308, and Officer Gleaton, badge number 2740, stated that they had handled the situation and that they sent me to the hospital and that they did their jobs. Nobody did their job that night, except as these 4 officers, for the second time, are treating me like a piece of trash. This wonderful little woman in a police car arrives. 5 foot tall, bigger than life. She shines a flashlight in my face. And she says, "Who did that to you?" Now it's been hours, and I am thoroughly pissed. I've had enough. And my response was, "Who the fuck do you think did it?" He's standing right there. Go in the house. Look at what he did in that house. It's destroyed. Look at my body. Look what he's done to me. I need help. And she went over and she talked to these other 4 officers. I didn't hear everything that she said, but she reprimanded them. She ordered someone to cuff Jamin because he had admitted after her speaking with him that he had pushed me. So he was arrested for a misdemeanor assault. Now the prosecuting attorney gets a bullshit police report. What are they supposed to do with that? How are they supposed to know that the officers writing this report didn't get anything right and didn't even try? They don't know. And Jamin shuts my phone off the second that he is out of jail. So if the prosecuting attorney attempted to reach me, it would have been impossible. So they dropped my case. I spent 3 days in the hospital, having to have pain medication every 4 hours, bruised ribs, 2 ruptured eardrums, serious contusions to my head and face, sciatica from bulging disc from being slammed into a wall. How can this be a misdemeanor battery? How? Detective Washington gave me some advice. So I got started. I'm getting my medical records from the actual hospital that treated me for my wounds. And that doctor made sure to be extremely thorough with her report, not to miss a scratch or a mark, because I told her that I was abused. And I told her what happened, and she believed me. So there's great medical records. And even though the police didn't do their job and take pictures of me and photograph what happened to me, I'm not an idiot, and I did. I photographed all of it. It's pretty gruesome. I've been pulling glass out of my feet for 2 days. I have soaked through 3 pairs of socks from blood because the glass just keeps coming out. It could just keep coming out for weeks, maybe longer. It's coming out of my hands and my knees. The damage you did to my hands, they're not ever going to work the same again. I already have arthritis. These are worthless right now. I can't even open a pickle jar. I can barely turn on my faucet to wash my hands. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I'm constantly looking behind me. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm done being afraid. You people are going to do your jobs. I didn't deserve any of this. And once you get my medical records, and you get my statement, and you get my photographs, you better put that man in prison. He will hurt someone else. He needs to be medicated. He's not well. I'm living in a shelter. It's crazy. you know what? I'm going to make this work. I'm going to get back on my feet. He didn't kill me. He tried. But he didn't kill me. I'm still right here. And while he may have hit me in the head a lot, my brain's still functioning just fine. I'm not an idiot. And I don't stop. And I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep coming at you. If I have to do it every day. Because now, I'm not allowed to work. I'm not physically capable of it. My doctor won't allow it. So I have nothing to do but sit here and make phone calls and emails and talk to everyone who will listen. Someone is going to listen. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I promise you I won't stop until they do. Jamin Ellis Montgomery will pay for what he did to me. And I really hope that it's the police who put him away. He needs help, and he needs to be punished. Nothing that I would have said or done ever could have justified the beating that I took. I hope someone is listening.